Artur Beterbiev had been chasing a dream that boxing fans around the world could practically taste. A third and decisive clash with Dmitry Bivol. It would have been the kind of fight that captures global attention. A meeting of two warriors with unfinished business. Fans had already begun imagining the electric atmosphere, the tension in every round, and the high stakes that only a trilogy fight can bring. But instead of that blockbuster, the announcement came that Beterbiev's next opponent would be Deon Nicholson, a 34-year-old from Alabama. For many, this choice felt like a letdown, a step back from the kind of challenge the former undisputed champion usually demands. Nicholson's results, while lacks the kind of victories that make the boxing world sit up and take notice. His only professional loss came more than 3 years ago, in April of 2021, when he was stopped in the third round by Nigerian puncher Efetober Pochi. That defeat exposed vulnerabilities, and although Nicholson has bounced back with 8 straight wins, 5 of them by knockout, the reality is that his opponents during that stretch were not elite-level fighters. The quality of competition matters in boxing, and because Nicholson's recent wins came against far less threatening opposition, it's impossible to say whether he has truly improved or is simply racking up numbers against softer targets. The bigger question is why Beterbiev and his team settled on this fight, instead of pursuing one of the division's most talented and dangerous contenders. Those top-ranked fighters, of course, know the risk of sharing a ring with someone like Beterbiev. Facing a heavy-handed, relentless fighter with a reputation for breaking opponents down comes with the real possibility of not just losing, but being stopped in punishing fashion. That kind of danger demands a large paycheck. And it's likely that the financial demands from those contenders were far higher than what this fight's promoters were willing to meet. For Beterbiev, the choice of opponent comes in the shadow of the most difficult moment of his career. Earlier this year, on February 22nd in Riyadh, he suffered the first defeat of his professional life. It was a fight that went the full 12 rounds, ending in a majority decision. Sharp and technical and in stretches, action with his movement and timing. But Beterbiev's pressure in the early rounds forced Bivol into uncomfortable positions, and in the 12th and final round, Beterbiev had him badly hurt. For some, the fight should have been scored draw, but the judges favored the Eddie Hearn-promoted Bivol, leaving Beterbiev with a result that still doesn't sit right with him or many of his fans. Now comes a shift that few can predicted. Instead of returning to the ring as the centerpiece of his own event, Beterbiev will be fighting on the undercard of the David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde card. For a man who once held all the light heavyweight belts, this is a humbling reminder of how quickly the sport can change a fighter's fortunes. One loss, especially a controversial one, can push even a dominant champion out of the spotlight and into a supporting role. What's even more uncertain is where exactly his fight with Nicholson will be placed on that undercard. If it ends up buried deep among the preliminary bouts, it will be more than just a career adjustment. It will be a bitter reality to accept. Just months ago, Beterbiev was a headliner, a main event draw whose fights commanded attention worldwide. Now he is forced to regroup, not only from the sting of a disputed defeat, but from a sudden and very public shift in his standing within the support. For Beterbiev, this moment is not just another fight. It's a crossroads. 40 years old, now carries not only the pressure to win, but the need to win convincingly. Anything less than a dominant performance risks cementing the idea that his best years are behind him, and that perception can be just as damaging to a fighter's career as an actual loss. The public, after all, can be quick to move on to the next star, and the boxing business rarely offers second chances without undeniable proof that a fighter still belongs at the top. The choice of Nicholson as an opponent may offer Beterbiev an opportunity to rebuild momentum, but it also comes with a hidden risk. If Nicholson performs better than expected, even in a losing effort, it could undermine the idea that Beterbiev remains a force in the division. On the other hand, if Beterbiev dominates and ends the fight in spectacular fashion, he could send a message to the rest of the light heavyweight landscape that he is still as dangerous as ever. In many ways, the stakes are less about the win itself and more about the manner in which it's achieved. This undercard placement also changes the psychology of Fight Week. In the past, Beterbiev has walked into arenas knowing the crowd was there to see him, with all eyes fixed on his ring entrance. On this night, he will be walking in before the main attraction, stepping into a spotlight that is shared rather than owned. It's a small shift in ritual, but for fighters at this level, routine and status play a huge role in their mindset. Adjusting to that change can be a challenge, especially for a competitor who has spent years at the very peak of his sport. Behind the scenes, there's also the question of what this fight means for his long-term plans. A victory over Nicholson won't earn him the belts back or force a rematch with Bivol, but it could keep him relevant in the title conversation. The boxing calendar moves quickly, and missing the right opportunities at the right time can close doors permanently. For Beterbiev, every decision, from the opponent he faces to the way he wins, will play a part in whether those doors remain open in the months ahead. For the fans, the matchup brings mixed emotions. On one hand, they want to see Beterbiev return to winning form, to re-establish himself as a fearsome, relentless fighter who once seemed unbeatable. On the other, the excitement they felt for a potential trilogy with Bivol has been replaced by a bout that, on paper, feels like a one-sided affair. Boxing has a way of surprising people, and Nicholson will no doubt be looking to turn this into the defining night of his career. But the prevailing sentiment is that this is a fight Beterbiev should win, and win decisively. In the end, the Beterbiev-Nicholson bout is less about rankings or titles and more about narrative. It's a test of how a great champion responds to adversity, how he handles being knocked off the pedestal, and whether he can claw his way back into a fear. Could signal the beginning of the end. In the unforgiving world of boxing, the line between resurgence and decline is thin, and Beterbiev is about to walk it.